Hey, what's going on, everybody? My name is Matt Jarbo. This is Three Buck Theater. And X-Men Dark Phoenix came out this weekend and it bombed. There's no other word to describe it. It bombed. It died. It was a dud. DOA. It was, we're talking $33 million domestic with I think about 107 million worldwide. And that's not a very good opening for an X-Men movie. In fact, that is the worst opening for an X-Men movie ever. And it's the last one coming out of 20th Century Fox. Well, there are people out there that are applauding that, and you will see them in the comment section. I'm not kidding. Go look right now. You will probably find a couple. And they're applauding the fact that the movie failed because they think that it's terrible. Although they probably didn't even see it because, quite frankly, not a lot of people did see it. I saw it and I really liked it. My review is up, and I've talked very openly about my adoration of the film in many respects. But then the question becomes, how did this happen? And there's a lot of interesting elements here that come out in this deadline piece from Anthony D'Alessandro, who writes, Dark Phoenix bound to lose 100 million after worst domestic opening in X-Men series, and here's why. Now, there's always going to be the thought that it's the end of the road and it just did not live up to expectations, and that is actually probably a fair amount of it, given how Fox treated it. Now, it says here, Dark Phoenix was not the X-Men movie that moviegoers were looking forward to. Critics showed that with a 22% Rotten Tomato score, while audiences demonstrated that both with a B cinema score, the lowest ever for the franchise, and an awful 69% positive on post-track. With their wallets and spending only 33 million stateside, the lowest debut ever for a Fox Marvel Mutant franchise. Even though Dark Phoenix is the #1 winner around the globe with 140 million, down substantially from the worldwide launches of Days of Future Past with 262 million, Logan 247, and even Apocalypse at 166. And that movie was far worse than Dark Phoenix, by the way. Apocalypse was far worse than Dark Phoenix. Finance experts tell us the tale of Jean Grey will burn out with an estimated 100 to 120 million loss after ancillaries, off of a combined production and P&A cost of about 350 million, which includes the reshoots. Final global box office is projected at 325 at a max, with one film finance suit telling us if it drops like a stone, 285 million. Don't forget it was a holiday in China, and even that was pretty low with only 47 or 45.7 million. Damn. I mean, damn. This is the MCU effect here, by the way. This is the MCU effect. This has nothing to do with Apocalypse. This has nothing to do with Apocalypse. The X-Men franchise has 100% survived bad movies. 2009's X-Men Origins Wolverine comes to mind. The Last Stand comes to mind. It survived. It survived, which means that a couple years after the release of Apocalypse, 3 years later, it would have survived. The thing is, though, they shot this movie in 2017. And then they had reshoots. So it really does ask the question. There's a lot going on. Now, it says here, there's a lot of finger pointing to go around here, and much of it falling on Fox, not new gargantuan parent Disney. Well, Disney honored Fox's release schedule for it. So yeah, I think a lot of it kind of falls to Disney. And here's the thing. I love the movie, but I recommended that it should be shelved and put to Hulu or Disney Plus. And I think they would have saved themselves a lot of money at the end of the day. I do. I think they would have saved themselves a lot of hassle. I think they would have saved themselves a lot of bad press, a lot of negative publicity, and a lot of lost revenue. I think they would. I mean, they wouldn't have really gained it, let's say, on Disney Plus, but they could have been like, "Do you want to see the final X-Men movie? Get Disney Plus." And then that would have been like, "Okay, cool. People are already going to go for the Mandalorian and the other Star Wars shows and stuff." But they also would then get this new thing that would then be cool for them to watch and something for people to talk about, and probably would have been better received than going into the theaters, because this is coming off of Endgame. It's coming off of Endgame and Captain Marvel. It's coming in. It's so poorly timed, in my opinion. It really is. Now it says here that much of Dark Phoenix's failure comes off the stench of 2016's Apocalypse. I don't agree with that. Which critics pegged as the worst X-Men movie ever, and the pick was the second lowest grossing in the franchise stateside, with only 155.4 million, with this Memorial Day gross of 79 million, coming in well below the 100 million that the industry was expecting at the time. But as I pointed out time and time again, Memorial Day weekend has been a bad weekend for a long time. This is known. So this kind of article coming out and saying, nah, well, it's really X-Men Apocalypse's fault. No, 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 no. No, it's been bad for a number of years. It's been bad for a number of years. Some movies can get around it, but even Aladdin opening at 90 million was just 2 million more than Solo the year before it, and that was deemed a failure. It's been a bad year. It's our bad weekend. They shouldn't do it. Again, it comes down to that stretching out thing I keep talking about. Now, it goes on to say, now Dark Phoenix was originally planned, and this is where it's interesting. Dark Phoenix was originally planned to be 2 movies, and this is what Deadline hears. Now, during late pre-production, the studio changed gears and said it would be 1 movie. Kinberg was flexible and rewrote the Days of Future Past, erased the timeline of The Last Stand, so a rebooted story about Jean Grey was possible here. Our sources tell us that testing Dark Phoenix was a continual headache, and the feature adaptation of Chris Claremont, John Byrne, and David Cockburn's fan-beloved Dark Phoenix saga was very hard to get right, and it is. It very much is. It's one of the problems, and this is just me being like, brutally honest, the cosmic side of things in regards to comic books is a very tricky thing, because it wasn't always established that the cosmic side would be there. Marvel has been slowly introducing the cosmic side of it. Thankfully, the way they handled Guardians was quite well to introduce us to that world. They tried a bit more with Guardians 2, and it worked really well for that, because James Gunn is really good at world building and he built it out from that. Whereas X-Men, the entire franchise, has been very much just Earth-based, and as a result of that, then going into the cosmos, dealing with aliens for the first time like that feels very weird, especially with the 113-minute runtime. That was a big problem trying to adapt this particular saga. It should have been a 2-parter. It absolutely should have been a 2-parter, and the fact that Fox switched gears shows you that they just not have confidence in this stuff anymore. And I think Kinberg, look, God bless him, he did the best he could. I think Kinberg did the best he could. Now, they go on to say, we hear in one cut, Jean Grey dies, which wasn't well received. But overall, the major ending change-up executed in reshoots entailed going forward from an intimate ending with Jean and Ty Sheridan and Charles Xavier against Jessica Chastain's Vuk. The feeling that the audience in testing was that they wanted to see all the X-Men heroes fighting in the end. There could have been there had been reports out there that the ending was changed up because it was too similar to Captain Marvel. This isn't true. No one in the Fox Dark Phoenix production side had any intel on Captain Marvel or what it would be like before it was released. This was an all-team reshoot that pushed Dark Phoenix from its original November 2 release date to February 14th. We understand Kinberg got to make the film he wanted to make and was flexible about reshoots with the studio, but we also hear Fox production brass didn't ride herd early enough, and by the time they did, production was far too down the road. So there was just a lot of craziness. Now, this is kind of where we find ourselves. That's basically what they talk about there, is the situation involving Jean, or involving the 2 films, and Fox getting cold feet. And then this also was shot, like I said, in the summer of 2017, before we even caught wind of Disney wanting to buy Fox. Now, if you recall, when Disney said they wanted to buy Fox, that was like December of 2017, right? Like it was right around the end of the year. So this movie had already been shot, and that was not even in the cards at that point in time. Fox just didn't know what to do with it. I think Fox didn't know necessarily what they wanted to do. Bryan Singer, this was again just the situation that they weren't happy with him because he was doing Bohemian Rhapsody, or no, he had left to go do Bohemian Rhapsody. This, of course, is before the Me Too movement. Kinberg probably should not have been brought in to do this film. To be fair, he probably should not have been brought in to do this movie. He should have written it. I thought it was well written. For what was good was written well. There were some dialogue choices I didn't quite think were that grand, but at the end of the day, this movie, was never. There's a line here. It says the movie was never intended to be a summer film. Dark Phoenix is darker and more psychologically complex than other X-Men movies, and was seen as an off-season release. And you know what? It was originally scheduled to come out 3 weeks prior to Captain Marvel, and I think that would have been better. There's not only do we have the poor release date, the poor critical reception, but I do think that there was a lot of things working against this movie. A lot of fans. If you ask fans, the question then becomes, why? That's the question everyone asks, is why? Why release it? Why put it out? Why do this? And that is a legitimate question. When Disney goes on this year-long kick of going, we're going to spend $71.3 billion to buy the 20th Century Fox Entertainment assets, the only thing people really cared about, the only thing was X-Men. And I'm being legitimate on that. So you might sit there and see some comments that differ and that they argue, no. This was an X-Men purchase. They clearly wanted the other things as well, but I guarantee you the top of the damn pile was X-Men because of the billions and billions and billions Fox has made or Disney has made off of the MCU. And I think they realized that they might eventually run out of characters for their phases, and that they want to keep this going, keep this going. They're going to need to have the stories to tell and to have the characters to tell them with. So that's why they did it. They also, there's also other aspects of it. Simpsons is highly profitable. There are things. But at the end of the day, this is what I believe. I believe that this movie did not in any way get a fair shake. Not only did it keep getting pushed back from its release date, it got cut down from 1 film to 2, which makes so much damn sense. And Kinberg, for all of the woes that he brought to the movie in the middling second act, delivered a very, very strong first act and a very tight final act. And I think those two acts, those two elements are what's going to get fans who avoided this movie because they just didn't want to see it because it's not the MCU. And again, I'm going to stand by that line, and you can disagree with me, but you're wrong, and you have every right to be wrong, because we're coming off of a $2 billion Endgame experience less than 2 months ago. We know exactly what this movie was. We're not stupid, and we know, at least a lot of people know, that they didn't want to see it because why get emotionally invested? And there are people out there too that say that Logan for them was the end, and they're not wrong. Logan was the last X-Men movie released outside of Deadpool, and we know Deadpool is going to continue. But Logan being released, I think in that particular way, it ended it for a lot of people, and that is good. I'm personally just not too happy at this one having crapped out the way that it crapped out. But anyway, I'll leave it to you. Your thoughts, your opinions. Let me know down in the comments below. I will talk to you guys later. Do me a solid. Type in Phoenix in the chat so I know you guys made it this far. Definitely thumbs up the video. And if you really want to support the channel, honestly, guys, right now, patreon.com/MattJarbo is the best thing to do. Link in the video description. YouTube is massively demonetizing channels that they deem to be problematic. This one has not been impacted, but it could happen at any time. And they are restricting ad revenue from a number of channels that are not top tier, top 100. So anything would help out. And anyway, I'll talk to you guys later. Thank you again so much. Have yourself a fantastic day, and peace out.